want to talk about 7 reasons for emotional intimacy in your relationship and why this is so fundamental, why it's so important. Before I jump into these 7 reasons, let me give you a little backstory. Sometime back, I met with a couple. Their names, this is not their real name, but let's call them Nate and Sarah. And Sarah was the one that reached out, and she was in her relationship. They'd been married for, I think, 12, 13 years, something like that. They had small children. And for the most part, she was happy in a relationship, but she did feel a little bit of emotional disconnect. Nate was a great provider. He was an excellent dad, and for all practical purposes, he was a great husband, a great provider. Loyal, faithful, well-liked in the community, strong church-going guy, just kind of built rock solid in terms of his character and all of that. But there was this factor of emotional intimacy that was lacking in the relationship. And when I had an opportunity to meet Nate, we began to talk about this. The subject came up, and we began to talk about the needs of a woman and how men need to respond to that. And in the process of the conversation, I began to unfold to him some of these important reasons. And so after that, I kind of documented these, and there are probably many more, but these are 7 that I find intriguing and fundamental. And I think once we understand this, and I want this to be more than just data, but once we understand this, I think it provides us a strong foundation for building on something that helps us connect. And so let's take a look at these 7 reasons for emotional intimacy and why it's so important. First of all, as you can see here, emotional intimacy is the cornerstone of a strong, fulfilling relationship. So when I talk about emotional intimacy, it goes beyond physical attraction, surface level interactions. How was your day? Hope you slept well, all of that. But it moves into creating something that's deep and meaningful by way of connection between a husband and a wife. And I find there are 7 reasons that we need to focus on this, and it needs to be a priority. So the first one is this: a foundation of trust and security. So emotional intimacy creates this safe space where partners can be vulnerable without fear of judgment. One of the things that causes men to withdraw is when they feel like, if I'm honest with you, I'm going to be rejected. And one of the areas this comes up, and this is not a course or a lesson on sexual intimacy, but I have found in talking to many men that when they express their need for more physical intimacy, a lot of times they get the hands thrown up in the air, the eye rolls, and that's all you ever think about. And so what happens is that diminishes this space where a man feels safe and secure, and so he holds on to that, and then it begins to bleed over into other areas. If he doesn't feel safe to express his needs, wants, and desires, then he will shut down. And we have a course that we're putting together called Why Men Withdraw, and then another one, Why Women Withhold. And this is going to be very vital to help couples kind of bridge that gap. But the thing that I want to drive home today in this is that one of the 7 reasons, and it's one of the top reasons, is emotional intimacy provides this foundation of trust and security where I feel safe to be vulnerable. So it's like building a fortress around your relationship. Protects you from all the external stressors because you know there's a safe place to go to. Another example, when Sarah shares her fears about her career change. Her husband, John, he listens without criticism, and so that makes her feel supported. It makes her feel understood, and that's what that trust and security, that foundation provides. So I hope that makes sense. Emotional intimacy lays that foundation. The second thing that I think it's important for us to understand is when we have emotional intimacy, we feel more apt to communicate. So partners who are emotionally intimate can express their thoughts and their feelings more openly. So again, it goes back to the previous thing. They don't feel judged, and so they can be open. And that openness actually creates more connection. And so we actually get this snowball effect that when we're open and we're accepted, we tend to be more open, and we're accepted more, we tend to be more open, and so it builds over time. It's like having a secret language that only you and your partner understand. This level of communication goes beyond words. It goes beyond. It's even different than body language. I call it a spiritual connection because it's spirit to spirit. I can tell you right now, I know when something happens, I know what my wife is thinking about that. And it's not because I read her body language, and it's not because she tells me, it's because I know her. And that comes because of an emotionally intimate connection. It leads to fewer misunderstandings and more effective problem solving. The third one is this: increased relationship satisfaction. I'm actually going to put together a whole separate video and post on this because I think it is so important for us to understand. And there's so much information there that I just want to do it justice. But just to touch on this, emotional intimacy contributes significantly to your overall relationship happiness. Together, emotional intimacy and sexual communication emotional intimacy and sexual communication satisfaction explain 49% of the variance in sexual satisfaction. That's a jumbled up statement. Here it is in a nutshell. 1/2 of your relationship satisfaction is dependent on emotional intimacy. So there are other factors, but half of your marriage satisfaction is dependent on emotional intimacy. It's like adding this rich, flavorful seasoning to a meal. It enhances every aspect of the relationship. It increases communication. It increases sexual intimacy and sexual satisfaction. It increases in all of those areas. So partners who feel emotionally connected report higher levels of contentment and fulfillment. Number 4, strong resilience in facing challenges. Listen, life happens, right? Emotionally intimate couples are better equipped to handle these ups and downs together. Think of it like having this emotional umbrella that shields you both during stormy times. So when you've got intimacy, it's this invisible covering over you that protects you. Sure, you're going to feel the effects. When bad things happen, you feel that. But I'm going to tell you, it lessens when you have that barrier shield of emotional intimacy in place. You know, when faced with financial difficulties, we had a couple, Tom and Lisa. They had this strong emotional bond, and it helped them support each other and find solutions together. Tom lost his job. He was up in the food industry. He lost his job during COVID and launched a whole new career right in the middle of all of that. But because they had such a strong bond, he felt supported, and they made it through and weathered those financial storms together. And it was actually a beautiful thing to watch. And they're both super successful now. And I think part of that is because of their bond and intimacy. Number 5, improved mental and physical health. Here's another one I'm gonna do an entire lesson on. But emotional intimacy has been linked to better health, mental health outcomes, including reduced stress and anxiety. It acts like this natural booster. It releases those feel-good hormones like oxytocin and those various things. When we feel bonded, when we have good, strong, emotionally connected relationships, our physical well-being responds positively because we have all of the good hormones and feel-good hormones and things are released. Physical health can also benefit as emotional support can lead to better self-care practices. So when you are emotionally connected, you tend to take care of your entire self better. So number 6. enhance sexual intimacy. When you feel emotionally connected, you're going to have a better sex life. That's just the bottom line. Emotional connection often translates into more satisfying physical relationships. It's like adding this depth and color to a black and white picture. The physical aspect becomes more vibrant and more meaningful. Partners who feel emotionally close are more likely to communicate their desires and their needs when they're in intimate situations. And so we find that the physical responds because of the spiritual and emotional connection. And then the final one is this, just personal growth and self-discovery. Emotional intimacy provides this safe environment for us to grow and to expand. I love taking course. My wife and I are both readers, and we like to listen to podcasts. She's big into podcasts. I like books, and I take a lot of courses and things like that. But because we're so emotionally bonded together, I love to do that, and then it gives us an opportunity to share with one another. It's like having this mirror that reflects not just who you are, but who you want to become. So it's amazing how that emotional safety and that intimacy produces that. Partners often inspire and encourage each other to pursue goals and to dreams. When you feel emotionally connected, listen, I want my wife to do, she's just putting the finishing touches on a book she's written, and I really want that to do well. I'm so supportive of her, so proud of her, because we have this connection. I feel invested in that, and I think that's the key. Well, those are 7 reasons that I hope you can see that impact our lives in such positive ways. So here's the challenge. I want you to take some time and do a little personal inventory. How well have you cultivated emotional intimacy in your life? What are you doing that encourages that kind of pushes the ball forward into your partner's court to say, what can we do to deepen our connection? And I'd love to hear what you say. I've got people, we talk to people all the time, and I'd love to hear their reports about things that they're doing on a practical level, things that go beyond date nights and things like that. But be creative. What can you do that would deepen your intimate connection and emotional intimacy with your spouse? Hey, I hope that helps you cultivate and create the marriage you desire and the marriage you deserve, and build a healthy relationship together.